impacted the employees is a mid-year change. And so that's my simple explanation. Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, any others? Okay, seeing none, we'll go to item number 3, study items. Item 3.1, update on streets program.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. We got a few current projects, transportation projects, current under design, completed construction, and future projects. We have Jason Andrew. He's our project engineer on streets. He's going to give you slides.
Thanks, Morale. Mayor, Commissioners, good to be here tonight. What I'm going to do is kind of go over fairly quickly. I got 30 some odd slides to go through, and I know Gerald's got quite a few slides, and I know we got a lot of other things to talk about, so I'll move pretty quickly. Anybody got anything they want to stop and talk about in further detail, just holler and let me know. Transportation projects covered by engineering department. I'm going to go over the current and then future projects of each kind of the individual project groups that we have. We have two main project groups, arterial and local streets. Arterials are broken into 3 different ones: widening, mill and overlays, and reconstructions. And then our local street program is primarily focused on reconstructions. Any kind of maintenance or overlay projects are done by Public Works. When we say widening, usually that's projects that are handled that we work with ODOT. Currently, we have 3 active projects with ODOT right now, and then we got one Randolph, Garland to West Van Buren, excuse me. It's kind of our future project that we don't really have a whole lot of idea. Oops. Thank you. We haven't done a whole lot on it yet. First project. There we go. Cleveland Railroad to Willow. It's a continuation project of the existing Cleveland project. Currently, we're in the right-of-way acquisition phase and utility relocation phase. Plans for the overall project are sitting at about 90% right now. Estimated construction is 2022. Other project that we're working with ODOT with is Garland and Randolph intersection. Plans are also at 90% on this one as well. We've got quite a bit of right-of-way already acquired, and so we're fixing to step into the utility relocation. This project will come up as soon as ODOT prepares, gets us the money and lined up for us, and then we'll present that to y'all. Expecting probably 2025.
On the last, the first slide that you talked about?
Yes, sir.
Are we also looking at the water retention issue and all that? I mean,
yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
That's part of the planning for this?
Yes, it's 2 separate projects, but yes, it's all combined together.
Okay.
You're talking about the relocation or
yeah, the Hunters Hills area.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Yes, exactly.
All right. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Our kind of third project that we have active, it's kind of in the slot right now, is the Garland widening project from Garrett to West Randolph to the previous project. Traffic study's been completed. We were wanting to know whether it needed to be 4 or 5 lane. And the study determined it needs to be a 4 lane. Plans are at 60% right now. They're developing, working towards 90% as well. Estimated construction for it is 2028, not really for sure. Overall, our hope would be to do this project and the previous project at the same time. Future project that we're looking to get with ODOT with is widening West Randolph from Garland to Van Buren. This will be, it's 3 miles. It'll be one of the larger projects that we've ever, taken on in the streets department. And most likely will be broken up into phases, obviously. But I think the town would be really excited for this project, and it's going to take a lot of pressure off of, our other streets. Mm-hmm. Mill and overlays. We got, there's 2 projects that are currently active right now. that we're working on right now would be the Randolph, Washington 7th, and Randolph, Van Buren, and to Washington Street. The top project, Broadway, it just got completed. See Van Buren to South Washington. I'm sure you all have seen it. There's a before shot there at the AT&T building, and there's an after shot. Contractors did a fantastic job.
Oh, yeah.
First active project, mill and overlay project I've got going right now is East Randolph Avenue, Washington to North 7th Street. It's right now the water line design is complete, and basically the roadway design is basically all but complete. The water line construction will start first of the year, after the first of the year, after the holidays, since this is going through downtown. So we want to stay out of business's way. And mill and overlay should be coming in following that sometime. Just started the design phase. I've got the survey complete on West Randolph from North Van Buren to North Washington.
Sorry, I have to step back. How long is the Randolph from Washington to 7th expected to take to be finished?
If I had to guess, I'd probably say 6 months from when the mill and overlay begins.
Are we doing any sidewalk along with it?
With our mill and overlay projects, where the primary focus is the corner nodes.
Okay.
That's part of the transition plan.
And to whatever extent that moving the water line tears it up.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
cool. Thank you.
Yep. This project got survey. I'll start designing after the first of the year on this project, Van Buren, Randolph to Washington. I hope you guys are seeing a trend here. Randolph Avenue, this will be the project that we'll look at doing following the other ones. It's just in the current, the wheel right now. Nothing's really been done on it right now, but Randolph 7th to 25th Street. After that, we'll look at doing Independence from Garrett to Chestnut. And then we'll look at doing Oakwood, Randolph, and to West Chestnut. As far as our Arterial Street reconstruction projects, I've got 2 active projects and one that just wrapped up. I did not get an after picture, I'm sorry, on ADM, but contractor did a great job. The other project that I'm working on right now is the water line over on Randolph from 26th to 30th. That's a very rough road. I know we all know about it. And bidding and construction will be coming up for the roadway here shortly. The other project is O&K Garrett and South Grand intersection. I think we all know where the leaning signal pole is. We're going to address that and address the corners and widening some of the radius there. For the local street,
will that result in a right turn lane into downtown?
No.
No. Okay.
It's just it'll be I think we're increasing it to like a 25-foot radius or something.
Okay.
In that neighborhood, it'll make turning so much easier in there.
I mean, that's an area that since before I was on city council, I've had people saying you need to do a right turn lane getting into downtown there. There's backup at the train station. Have we ever seen anybody, or do we know of anybody, Gerald, where having a train there has put anybody at risk waiting at that stoplight trying to get into downtown?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. I'm sure it's happened. I don't think it's a chronic problem that I'm aware of. From time to time, I have heard that. It is a double-laned road. And if you're talking about people coming from the west, going west or...
Coming from the east, heading west.
Right. And then
where the birds are, the 3.
Right.
That's been hey, why don't we have a right turn lane there to ease up some of the congestion at that intersection? It's been a question posed to me, again, since before I was on city council, and there may be a perfectly good reason, but while we're designing it, at some point when we get closer to construction, if somebody could have an answer as to whether that would be appropriate or not, just so we can have looked at it, I would appreciate it.
You bet, we can do that.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
That generally means a traffic study, right, guys? That was some humor.
I'll get on that as soon as I can,
Thank you.
because we're gonna actually, I think we're having 90% plan review on that project tomorrow. So we'll talk about that at that meeting. And construction on that project will hopefully be here just after the first of the year, especially on the signal poles. That's obviously, we got to get that addressed. Excuse me. Local street program. I've got a lot of active projects on this slide here. Kennedy Street, we just wrapped up, and then I've got two, one under construction, one going to follow that, and then I got a couple that are in design. Kennedy Street, Ash to Hemlock. There's a before street there. This is looking north at Hemlock, and you can see that there our local street programs always consist of concrete road, curb and gutter, and sidewalks, as well as any driveway approaches. Currently under construction right now, West Maple, Washington, Independence, between the two towers downtown. The contractor's somewhere probably 30 to 40% complete on that. He's actually going to start pouring to the roadway tomorrow. Following that project, the contractor will move down to West Oklahoma. This project should be a very simple, straightforward, hopefully a quick Band-Aid, or a quick pull of the Band-Aid off. East Maple Avenue, 10th Street to 16th Street. The water line is currently under construction. It's very near completion right now. The plans are getting wrapped up, and this will be out to bid within a month or two. West Cherokee and South Adams intersection. This is over there by the Y. There's a gigantic crater in the middle of this intersection. So we're going to obviously remove and replace this section. Survey is complete on this, and design will start here shortly. My next large local street project is going to be East Birch Avenue from North 16th to North 26th. It's a fairly large project, and it'll take me a little bit of time to get it all designed and stuff, but it'll be upcoming in the next year. Here's my project tallies, I guess you could call them. Six just completed, 4 under construction, 2 ready to go, and 9 in design. That includes water lines and roadways. Just a quick teaching moment. Gerald wanted me to give you a quick explanation of the difference between a mill and overlay versus a reconstruction. I know what everybody's going to look at and see, okay, mill and overlays are $400 a foot and reconstruction $425. So let's just do all mill and overlays. The problem we run into there is in most places we don't have the existing payments to do mill and overlays as you properly should, I guess I should say. Usually arterial streets, kind of like that we went through, they'll always have enough pavement there to do it and adequate enough subgrade to complete those. When we start looking at local streets, that's when we don't have the subgrade and we can't do it. Mill and overlays, we run them on a 15-year life cycle. Usually try to get them replaced every 17 and a half years. When we do reconstructions, we're looking at a 50-year lifespan. So I think our trade-offs in the dollar amounts is in the years that they last. Excuse me. For my local street program, kind of got a 5-year plan. I've got just a laundry list of streets that are there for us to work on. The whole town needs it, and every ward needs it. But this is just a list that's been provided to me from Public Works and the city manager. Here's a distribution right now of that list. They're currently all in 3, 4, and 5. Any of the other commissioners in the different wards got projects that you want brought up, bring them up to me or Mr. Gilbert, and we'll look at them and get them on there. Here is
Quick question for you. Do you, we started using that C-Click Fix app for the last couple of years now. Have you started to incorporate any of that data? There should be some good raw data in there in terms of, potholes and problems in certain roads and stuff. Are you starting to incorporate that in how you select roads?
We haven't, no, currently, because those are mostly maintenance issues.
Okay.
They're the potholes, they're small items. Mr. Gilbert.
I guess all the data will be collected at the public works. So engineering doesn't have any control over it right now. So all the local streets, we get the information from public works. So
Okay.
We get the input from them to design our streets.
Okay. So I guess the question is whether or not they use it or not? Okay.
Oh, they absolutely, they use it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and let me go ahead. You're back to last slide, aren't you?
Yeah, I got one more.
Oh, well,
I didn't mean to hijack it. It's okay.
No, you're
yeah. Okay, go ahead and finish up, then I've got some more stuff.
okay. The only thing I got left to say is looking at our current and future projects. I think we've got a clear plan forward. We really want to get Randolph across town widened and up to date and in quality roads so that we can take pressures off of 412, Broadway, and those other streets, Willow. The list goes on. We can distribute that traffic in a different corridor. We're going to save a lot of life on other projects. So that.
Before you get started, Gerald, we all know that Randolph carries a huge amount of traffic east-west. It's the only one of the only, couple roads that go all the way east-west. Mm-hmm. Do we have any numbers? I'd be interested in seeing if we have a recent traffic study comparing the traffic load east-west on Garriott, Randolph, and Willow. It'd be kind of an interesting bit of data if you have something you can send us sometime.
Okay, yeah, I can look into
I don't expect you to have those numbers memorized or anything, but it'd be interesting.
Yeah, I can get those put together.
Thanks.
Yeah, it'd also help later on when we find out how much traffic is coming off the other main arteries because of the availability and the better roads on Randolph after it's improved. So I think it's a good comparison number for later as well.
Absolutely. Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, and this is one aspect of the street program that we're working on at the city of Enid. This is, as Jason said, it's for reconstructions, mills, and overlays, which are complicated, very expensive projects. And that's why they go through engineering. They have to have a complete set of plans and bid specs and then be spent out. And most importantly, we have to have lots of money because it takes lots of money, roughly $1 million a mile. You saw the linear foot numbers. So what we're really focused on trying to do with this presentation and continue to work off of this presentation for you and for the city is to have a 5-year plan on arterial streets and local streets. And so you're seeing the beginnings of the making of the plan here. And that plan probably when it's complete is probably going to have at least 10 local streets in each year group. Because that's probably my wishful thinking on money. When we actually tie money to how much it costs, we may not be able to do that much. But I want to work on the opposite there of how do we get more money to streets. And I'll be working on that with you in the near future as we develop this 5-year plan. So we have a list of all the streets in the city. There's about 30 pages worth in Excel. I looked through them as the engineers and public works worked on this presentation. And there's some holes in the data that we need to fill in. One of them is where's the street located as far as ward? Because when we show you, we want to show that we're working on the whole city and that all the wards are impacted. And then also condition of the street. So I'm going to talk a little bit about condition in this next presentation that was worked up. But the street program is 3 things. It's the engineered streets that go out for bid that take extremely large money. Usually every year we have about $5 million or so allocated to that. If there's a big project in there like Randolph, that can take a large part of that money. So therefore you only see maybe 2 or 3 projects. And so we're going to see what we can to be creative to find more money. I will tell you one of the things, and I guess I can back up here. Let me go back to the slide that showed ADM and 4th Street, because that's a great example of looking for money and not leaving money on the table, right here. If you take a look at that when you get a chance, a lot of this, you can't really see the laser pointer, but that kind of turnaround there at the southern portion, that whole thing's been reworked, and a lot of that truck lane has been reworked, but not the entire truck lane. With that TIF, we had $300,000 in property taxes that we don't normally get to reach out to available to us. And I think we spent about 120 or so on that. So my direction is let's go back and fix more street there, because we certainly have the capability. It's part of the TIF to improve that road, improve that truck lane. So that's what we're going to do. So you'll see some more improvement in that area. So that's one example of let's find money. Let's not leave money on the table. Guys, if you can switch me over to the other presentation. The other two aspects of the local street programs, or the street programs period for the city, are programs that I think that we've enhanced in the last few years, and I think are an integral part of this three-part strategy to improve streets in Enid. One of them is the asphalt laydown program. So you're going to see some slides in just a minute. You've got them already in your box. And then the concrete point repair, if you want to call it that, program, which we use for concrete streets that just have bad spots in them. And so that's coming. Anyway, on the asphalt repair program, I believe we had budgeted around $600,000 for that program. We have done several streets that I'm going to show you in a minute, and we've got a lot more planned. And we have a pretty good 5-year plan working on that. That plan we're able to do with city employees and city resources. That does save the money from the perspective of we're paying for the labor separately for our city employees. So we're really just paying for materials. We already have the machine. We have a laydown machine. We have dump trucks. We have a roller. So we're able to make significant improvements with that. And right here is an example of overlay projects completed on 14th Street, 17th, 19th. You can just look through the list, Maple, Cambridge. Hopefully you've seen some of these driving around the city. Grand Avenue, north of Willow to Oxford. Is this as good as a mill and overlay? No, it's not. A mill and overlay you see is good for probably 18 years. This type of overlay, about 3 inches, is good for 5+ years, and Grand's been done for about a year, and it's still a fantastic improvement over the pothole-filled road that we used to have. Here's some projects that are in progress on that, and we're also, with this program, we're looking to do several things. One is we're using this program to work on bad asphalt streets that don't have curbs and typically, are in terrible shape. You're going to see some pictures of the alligatoring and the potholes and stuff. So that's our criteria. We don't do intersections with this program. We stay away from that. We just do the street. And so where we have just recently finished Kennedy Street, for example, we're going to go to that area. There's a lot of bad streets in that area that are asphalt. Now we have a wonderful 5 blocks of concrete street. If you haven't been on Kennedy, go drive on it. You'll think you'll think that ought to be the standard everywhere, and it should be. But if you turn off on a side street, there's a bad asphalt road probably. And so we're going to be working the asphalt program in that area. Another good example is the Columbia to Cornell, the Columbia to Princeton, the area up by the fairgrounds. Those are substandard, worn out asphalt streets. And we're able to, in a relatively short period of time, with asphalt, without engineered plans, go out there and lay stuff down and make a massive improvement for the citizens. I think it's been a very successful program and will continue to be. We have several years worth of projects projected out, so we'll have no shortage of work, because I'm pretty certain when we get done with all that, it'll be time to do them again. So you can look at those areas where I'm sure we're missing some, and certainly that's part of this. If you have streets that you think need to be on there that you don't see, please let us know and we'll plug them in somewhere. Here's a map of all of the projects that we've done and that we plan to do. And I'm very pleased with that, because as you look at that map, it's pretty much impacting everywhere in the city of Enid, in every ward. And so We have hundreds of miles of road in Enid. So as you can see, even though that's a lot of projects, you see a lot of white space there because there's a lot of roads in town. But you can see that's about what we've listed in that 5-year plan for the asphalt programs, about 68 street sections or over 100 city blocks. That will make a significant difference. It's already made a difference on the streets that we've worked on. Here's what we're talking about. Asphalt that looks like this, alligator cracks, basically where you can just pick up chunks of asphalt. It's terrible. We all know what a bad street looks like, so I'll move on. Here's an example of what a bad street looked like and now what it looks like. Is it perfect? No, but it's way better, especially for the people that drive on it a lot. Fantastic. So that's improvement. And many times I hear, well, we don't do anything for the east side in town. A lot of these streets are on the east side of town, like these particular streets that we're looking at. You can look on the left and you can look on the right. I know which one I'd like to drive on. Excellent job by city staff doing this. And there's more examples of pictures here that you can see. Again, it's fantastic. They have a methodology down. They go out and they grade the edges of the road. They fill the potholes. They put some tack oil down, and they lay about 3 inches of asphalt or so on each side and roll it down as good as they can. And it ends up being like that on the right-hand side. Excellent improvement. The concrete program is the third aspect of the street program. I think it's been extremely successful too. We contract this one out. We have an employee that does great work going out, measuring these, getting bids for these, and keeping these jobs moving. Sometimes we'll go out and he'll look at them and he'll need to work with engineering because it may be a bigger problem that we can't do with this program. These program repairs are typically repairs that are less than $50,000 to fix certain places on overall good quality concrete roads. And you can see we've completed 42 jobs or so and have a whole bunch more projected because, as we all know, even on a good concrete road, inevitably concrete's going to heave. Right, Commissioner Norwood? It's going to crack, it's going to heave, it's going to change colors, and we know nobody's ever going to steal the street, right? So there's all the repairs that we made. I'm sure you've driven on one of the nice, smooth concrete repairs somewhere. We have some more scheduled, and these are some that are ongoing now. You can see we've spent over $1 million in a little over a year on this program. So that's a lot of money. And I know I've been asked before, well, is this program worth it? Because we could get a few blocks or a mile of a street somewhere else. Well, yeah, we could. And then we'd have 42 bad places in the concrete somewhere else. And so this program gives us bang for the buck, I think, because although it's not replacing the whole street, it's replacing the worst parts of the concrete street. Not every crack, because not every crack needs to be fixed, but particularly the heaving, which happens and happened a lot even with a mild summer this year. Anyway, here's some of the projects again. Just don't want to belabor the point, but you can see projections for future places that we're already aware of. There's issues. And this map makes me feel really good. I hope it does you too. We need to post that out there because these are, the green dots are ones that have been fixed, concrete patches, if you will, sections replaced. And then you can see all the dots for what's coming in the future. And that is all over the city. So this program, I think, is fantastic, provides immediate results and improvement. Engineering a whole street and bidding it out and constructing it takes a long time. More than a year. These type of projects can be done, a lot of projects can be done in a few months using contractors. And then the asphalt program the same way, because we can just get busy on those. So we're going to be looking to see how we can internally in the city provide more resources for that asphalt program, because these three programs accomplish a lot. So anyway, I think that's the last slide or close to the last slide. Here's some pictures of what concrete looks like. And these aren't even necessarily the best pictures. Obviously, there's some messed up ones. When you walk outside, there's a sidewalk that's heaved out there. You probably know what I'm talking about, Mayor. It's close to your parking spot. Now, if you notice, since the weather's cooled off a little bit, I think it's kind of contracted a little bit and gone back down, but it's still going to need to get replaced at some point. The street does the exact same thing. Here are some fantastic examples. Look at that address at 1826 Indian Drive. Terrible, getting ready to fail. And now look at it, it's, I don't know, I'm just looking like about 50 feet of nice concrete on either side of the road, connecting to good road on either side. That's a significant bang for your buck. City staff's making this happen for folks in the city, and I think they're doing a fine job. And so I'm gonna try to figure out ways to get more resources to them. And I know streets and infrastructure are one of the top priorities for you as a city commission. These are just, I think this may, yeah, that was the last slide. Just what we're doing right now is on some streets in our asphalt program, we're trying to get a better handle on what the condition of the streets are. So we're looking at things like the alligatoring, the potholing, the pavement distress. So that's what that slide's trying to tell you. Obviously, the amount of traffic on a street makes a difference, particularly, I think, for the engineered new or mill and overlay, because the resources really need to go to where the most traffic is, because we don't have resource to fix everything. So anyway, this is a continuing work in progress, but I'm very pleased with the direction and the efforts of city staff in this and contractors that are involved. And I'd love to answer your questions or get your feedback and hear what you have to say.
Gerald, I don't have anything there. Do we have an update on, I know that's not part of the streets, but the bridge on Van Buren, what's the status of that?
You know, I do know that it's close. I don't know the exact date. If anybody in engineering knows the exact time. I don't know that we've talked to Jake Hoover, who's the ODOT guy lately, but I know it's getting close because I drive over it about twice a day. Yeah. And it is getting really close. It's going to be a fantastic improvement when they open it. And we'll forget about all the challenges and pain and farm trucks that had to go over it in the past.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
We'll get a better answer for you and email
good.
you or send you.
Yep. Okay. Thank
All
you.
right, thank you.
All right. Item number 3.2, we're going to get an update on the skate park.
Thank you, Commission. My brief presentation is coming up. Thank you, team. Is that what you get to look at? There you go. Okay. Well, I have 3 slides. The second one is basically our project timeline. You can see that we've kept where we needed to be at all of our touchstones and mile marks. We have made an adjustment on the last item. Construction was originally scheduled to be done November 20th. That has been moved out to December 4th. We started this project April 22nd. Here we are today, about 7 weeks away from completion. My last slide just simply gives you another visual of what the park will look like when it's finished. Are there any questions I can answer for you?
No.
Thank you to Commissioner Zell and Commissioner Allen. It's easy to be successful when you have good leadership, and I certainly did on this project. Yes, Ben, I interrupted you.
I would say they're out there working. I mean, they were out there working today. They're moving quickly.
If it matters to you, the construction crew for this particular project is coming out of Louisiana, and we know they got hit with the hurricane, and the team had to go home to take care of their families, but then they returned. And it's also interesting, the construction manager for the project is in New Jersey. And if you recall, the designer was in Los Angeles. So they're nationwide. It's very impressive how they work. So I'm excited that we're going to have a great park this year for you.
And I see there's a little bit of delay talked about from November 20th to the first part of December, but I'm really pleased with how well that went. A project that large, that significant, can have delay after delay after delay, and I'm very pleased with the way you're doing with that. So
December 4th is only 7 weeks away.
Really? Yep.
It's going to be ready. Thank you.
Yep.
Chris.
Okay. Item number 3.3, discuss the Ames waterline break and any emergency actions needed.
Good evening, evening, Mayor, Commission. Yes, we're just going to do a brief presentation and go over the timeline and what we did as far as response. I think we really had a great overall response to what could have been a very dire situation. And I think the take home on it was that the majority of the citizens of Enid really didn't know that anything was wrong, except some people in some outlying areas. And then towards the end of the event, we did have a few situations with pressure and water supply that was very discreet and point as opposed to large scale. Next slide. So essentially, we were just trying to address and respond to that 30-inch PCCP, and it's a pre-stressed concrete pipe, and it was damaged by a contractor who essentially was doing a bore and drilled under the pipe and broke the underside of it. And we were just trying to maintain water supply to Enid residents. Next slide. So we were notified. I got a call at about 9:15 on Monday. We weren't sure if it was a break. We went out there. We did see the water bubbling where the 30-inch line was. And essentially we confirmed right then and there that we did have a break and we had to take actions very, very quickly. We got in touch with city leadership, engineering staff, made sure they was aware. We started getting essentially press releases so that the public be aware of how important the situation was from a community response. We did contact all of our industry, both Coke, Tyson, and a few other industries that were high water usage, and they were very receptive in essentially ramping down their water usage. We did have some things that we did with Coke to help their ramp down so that they could use some additional water supplies from our water reclamation plant, and that actually helped them out a lot. And then we very quickly got in touch with Look and Bill as a contractor to fix the leak while maintaining water supply. And we were looking at a lot of options while all these things were going on. A lot of brainstorming was occurring very, very quickly. Next slide. So that's just an image of what it looked like when we initially found it. We didn't know what it was. We did know that water was bubbling out from the pipe, but we just did not know the extent. One thing about this 30-inch pipe is that it's very low pressure. A lot of the ones that you see when there's a water line break, it's just blowing out everywhere. It's digging out everything and you're gonna have a flood. This one is relatively low, about 35 pounds per square inch. So we weren't able to really ascertain without getting that water out of there, the extent of the damage. And it was just there on South Garland Road, just to the north of Roop at that little neighborhood area there. Next slide. This is just an overall map of our system showing our well fields to the west. And essentially very key was that location of Plant 1, which is off of Chestnut and Poplar over by Van Buren, and our Plant 2, which is on Chestnut to the west. Next slide. And this is just key to see. We had the break location, but we were able to divert water around to Plant 2 and essentially, for all intents and purposes, shut off all of the water from Plant 1. I do point out that we have those water towers that are showing up in all of our storage areas. That was significant because we did find that there was still water coming from the north wells that supply the water. And we had to shut all those down. That was one of the situations where we did have water supply impacts to some of our customers on the north side. We did have Chisholm in school district and their elementary school who did have to shut down their water, shut down their school because they couldn't flush toilets. And that was an impact that we had not expected, but it was not one that we could actually mitigate. Next slide. Okay, we're gonna have Morali go over some of the engineering of the pipe. That was some of our complexity with the repair.
The existing pipe is a 1950 installed pipe. It's a pre-stressed concrete pipe. As you can see here, this is several layers of the pipe. You got a concrete line and a steel liner, and there is a bar wrap on top of it. You can see right here. And there is a concrete liner and mortar liner on top. So this is not a day-to-day pipes we have in town. It's a large transmission lines, and it's very hard to repair. And we don't have capabilities in our staff to repair any of these kind of pipes. like you can see on this picture right here, the contractor bored at the bottom of the pipe. So it gives another challenge for repairing the pipe. First of all, like the immediate task is to put a Band-Aid on the leak so we can restore the water supply. We tried, the contractor really worked hard the second day to put a clamp around the pipe. And as you can see, so this is not a smooth pipe outside. So the clamp that he fabricated did not help to seal the joints, the leak especially. So the temporary, it helped put a temporary band on it, but it's not a permanent fix. So we put the water back into, try to empty the pipes so we can start working on the permanent fixture. So we looked into several options to do a permanent fix. One is put a completely divert the water into a different direction, and also wrap the pipe clamp with a carbon fiber. They're all having challenges and the time constraint. So finally end up doing, after like several options going through, end up doing the draining the pipe completely and welding pipe in place and pour the concrete. I'll give.
And this is just to point out that we were gathering a lot of data while we were doing all of this. You can see that we have the numbers from plant 1 and plant 2, and you can see on the 6th how low we got at plant 1 as far as usage, and it just doesn't have to use any math to show that we were in dire straits as far as the usage. We did do a lot of cammering of the lines. One thing we found out is some of our valves that we were utilizing to try and close off and isolate the water haven't been exercised in a very long time. One estimate on this one right here was maybe 8 to 12 years. Ooh. And really we should have been doing it a lot more often. But I think it was one of those situations where, you know, we had an employee who'd been with the city for years and knew where that was and was exercising that valve. And then we had some turnover and, you know, we just kind of had to find some things. So it was essentially a hard lesson to learn, but it was a good one with all things considered. Next slide. And this is just our SCADA system. You know, one thing to note that a lot of people aren't aware of, we are monitoring the water system, all of the elevated storage tanks, every level, every pump, every pounds per square inch. It's being measured essentially per minute. So we were able to see everything that was going on. If there was a problem overnight, we had alarms set. So we were in really good situation as far as a data standpoint and being able to see things. They even had the apps on their phones, so they were able to do it from home and not have to have any type of people sitting there standing at the pump, watching it and waiting for things to happen. Next slide. And this is just that SCADA system as well, but that is the image of our storage tanks that also maintain pressure to other parts of the city. And I just want to point out that with the north tank, you can see that the typical level is about 122 feet. It got down to about 60 feet. And then our Chestnut Tower, which is on the other side, it's normally 161 feet, I'm sorry. It got down to about 90 feet. So that just really limits our ability to maintain that pressure. So I really have to say from a staff standpoint, the fact that we did not have as many problems as, the fact that we had as many problems as we did, I'm really surprised because I thought there was going to be a lot more impact to the community. We kept waiting for it and expecting it, and we just had a few calls through that week. Next slide. This is just an image of the pipe on South Garland and Roop. They repaired with that concrete weld patch. You can see there, we had to let it sit for about 24 hours. During that time, they put the rebar forms around it, and then they filled that concrete pour. So right now, if you drive by it, you can see some dirt. You can see a little bit of knowledge that there was something that happened. But most people, if they drive by, will not ever know that anything occurred there. So that pipe has been closed and sealed up. And this goes to that idea about the old valves. At our plant 1 off of Poplar, We found out some of those valves just weren't closing the way we wanted them to. So we took this as an opportunity to change those out. So there wasn't a little bit additional cost to this repair, but now those valves are new. We can exercise them, we can close and open them. So it was essentially not the greatest situation, but it was a great opportunity to go in and replace that old infrastructure with some new valves so we won't have this problem again. So you know, problems happen, and you know, we didn't really want it to happen like this. But you know, my take home is that we learned a lot about the system. One thing is we've got this line going out to Ames Waterfield, and if something happens, it's just going to take a long time for that entire pipe to drain. So it's just something else for to think about the hydraulics of the system. Obviously, you know, with Call 8 coming on, it just gives us ideas and things to think about from a maintenance standpoint. We were doing a lot of continuous learning through this process and a lot of adaptive management. We had situations where we thought about this, decided on this, had a little bit more time, and went back to this because we had more time and we got the best solution. I think the one thing that is a take home is we do have a very good asset management program on the distribution side. All the houses, all the valves are the hydrants, but this bigger system that's off out in you know, off in the winterlands, in the, you know, in the well fields, it identified that we just weren't doing as good a job in maintaining those assets and understanding them. So these are some take homes that we're just going to be looking forward, exercising those valves, maintaining them, replacing them as needed, and then looking at the addition of flow monitoring, because a lot of our flows were just based on gallons per minute as opposed to actually knowing what was going through that pipe. And that gave us a little bit of uncertainty when we were addressing this. I believe that is the last slide. I do want to point out, just from a larger communication standpoint, this was really a good exercise in communication. I do want to kind of give a heads up to Coke. They really responded very well, and we had a good response with them. I think one thing that we kind of didn't think about was notifying some of the school districts that it could be coming, and we kind of got hit by that on the side. So it does help us to understand what key stakeholders, if this happens in the future, do we notify right away, and how we keep them in touch. But we had a really good response. A lot of the residents that didn't have water, we explained the situation to them, and honestly, they were very gracious, and they just said, just call me back when the power's up. And I did call those people every night and said, here's the situation. And they were like, okay, thank you. And one of them just was like, my wife just needs to take a shower because she had to work. But I called them on Sunday, and they had water back on Sunday, and his wife was happy because she could take a shower for Monday work. Do you have any questions about this?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you for you and your team and what you did with a disaster. And you've had quite the baptism by fire since you started here. I admire the work that you do, and thank you for the good presentation. The final thing that I want to say is that I appreciated that we turned the system back on slowly and let it charge so that we didn't blow up a lot of other things down the line, which historically we've had some of those problems in the past. So thank you for a job well done. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Gerald, will we be reimbursed for any of the costs of this repair by the company doing the boring? I mean, I assume this was an expensive.
I know we'll be putting in a claim. I believe it was a contractor in the ditch on the east side of the road that hit the pipe. So yes, our intent is to file a claim against that company or their contractor. I'm sure we'll be successful in recovering something. We will have a big bill coming from Luck and Bill. And so once we get that, that's probably the biggest piece of what the claim will be for. I believe Chris has told me he's estimated in the $50,000 to $75,000 range. So that will be coming, and that was part of the presentation to let you know. So yes, we will be filing a claim. I think Carol could probably speak more to it, but I think we have a good chance probably of getting a lot of it back.
Great. Let us know.
Okay.
Let us know how that goes.
One final comment. I appreciate everything that you did and the way that you reacted to that, but I especially appreciate the last part of your briefing where you called people back and said, hey, I gave an update. My wife needs to take a shower. There's too often where we're accused And maybe sometimes we've deserved it where we weren't communicating enough with our customers. So I really appreciate the fact that you did that. So thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mayor, I have just a couple of quick follow-ups of questions that have been asked today. And just to wrap up on it was a fantastic effort by the city team and Luck and Bill, engineering, Chris, Morale, David, the water production team, Luck and Bill, everybody else involved. Fantastic effort. It does highlight, we are very fortunate that we had 2 supply lines from the well fields, and it'll be nice to have Call Lake online when it gets here. See-click fix. As I was sitting over there, I don't think we adequately answered your question. We're probably not mining that data to the extent that we need to, so we will look at that. I know that all of those pothole issues do go to the roadway maintenance department. And so, and they're the ones that generate the list many times on the local streets. So I know they're probably contemplating some of that, but we will look at mining more of that data because the people will be a great source of some roads that need to be fixed. So I want to follow up on that with you. And then the overpass, good news for you, to all of us from ODOT. Jake tells me that both lanes will be open by Christmas. That doesn't mean the project will be done, but both northbound and southbound should be open by Christmas. So if all goes well.
Thank you. All right. Item number 3.4, discuss Elevate Enid committees. I think that's Lisa.
Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners and City Manager Gerald. I appreciate being here tonight. My name's Lisa Powell, Executive Director of the Enid Regional Development Alliance, which is the Economic Development Office for Enid. And tonight, I'm just here to give you a little update on some work that's been happening through our organization. It is one of the core functions of an economic development office is to provide a growth and development plan for the community. And so we began that effort in February of this year and have continued since that time by establishing committees that have broken up issues into smaller issues and have been working really to focus those efforts on a 12 to 18 month goal timeline. I've been really pushing them to identify actionable and measurable goals that they can accomplish in a relatively short time. The challenge with almost all of these is that they are very huge issues and initiatives. And so sometimes the most difficult part is trying to figure out where to start. And so we've been working diligently on that. And we are referring to the effort now as Elevate Enid. So these are the areas of focus. We have industry retention and recruitment, retail retention and recruitment, education and workforce training, quality of life and tourism, inclusive prosperity, and downtown development. Each of these committees are made up of community members. There was an all-call made earlier this year among ERDA board members, our Enid First organizations, which includes the City of Enid, Visit Enid, Chamber of Commerce, and Main Street Enid, as well as City Council and ERDA members who might be interested in participating in any of these committees. We also then reached out to any subject matter experts that might have relevant information related to a topic, and then included our schools as well if they were not already included as a part of one of those other groups. So this is our Industry Retention and Recruitment Committee member list. And the areas in which they are working for retention of existing businesses in Enid. One of the areas that we are looking at is identifying programs that we can put in place to assist manufacturers in diversifying their product offerings. As you know, many manufacturers are focused traditionally in oil and gas manufacturing. And so to the extent that they can diversify into other product lines, that provides them with another revenue source and a little more stability. And so that's our focus at this time for retention. In recruitment, General aviation parts manufacturing is the area that we are focusing on industry recruitment at the moment, primarily as a result of all the assets and the investment that the city has made at Woodring Regional Airport. There is not a person that comes through that airport that is not impressed with what we have in the way of an asset there. We have a 70-acre industrial park that's within the fence at that airport that also has taxiway access, and as a result of some FAA requirements, only aviation-related businesses are able to be located in that park. And so we are focusing real heavily on recruitment to fill up that industrial park. In process improvement, we have set a goal to be recognized as the most welcoming and most helpful city for business development. This is a real exciting initiative. Gerald, I know some of the staff have been working on this from their side. The committee has come up with some recommendations on how we might be able to be more helpful and facilitate development a little more easily for those who are investing in the community. And we look forward to some really great things from that effort. Retail retention and recruitment committee members. Again, here's the list of those who've been involved in that effort. A lot of this that we're doing with retail and retention and recruitment is not necessarily new, but I think the benefit that we will have out of this committee is that we are increasing the number of people. Well, I shouldn't say that. The same number of people are still working on it, but we are all trying to pull on the rope in the same direction and work collaboratively in some of our recruitment efforts towards retailers. And so we are all agreeing upon the list of retailers that we are seeking to recruit to the community, developing a list of available retail properties that we can all refer to and also market. There's a desire to create a recruitment package for retailers that we've identified as targets for the community. And then again, this committee had the same initiative as hoping to be recognized as the most welcoming and helpful city for retail development. And so that's what we are finding in a lot of these discussions, is that all of this is interrelated, and issues that affect one area bleed over and affect all areas. And so there's a lot of cross-pollination, you might say, between some of these committees. And this is our Education and Workforce Training Committee members. Obviously, you can see all of our schools are involved, as well as some industry leaders. They have talked about a need for creating a workforce development office that might do more to coordinate between the universities, the career tech, Enid Public Schools, job seekers, employers, and industry. They are working also to identify career pathways in Enid specifically. And so Career Pathways is a national effort that's not unfamiliar in the world of workforce development, but we are trying to localize that effort to Enid to create career pathways for jobs that exist in Enid, and that you can receive the training for those jobs in Enid. And as we develop those then are marketed and provided to our students as education on opportunities they have here in Enid for good jobs. And then increase the awareness of education opportunities in Enid. We really do have strong education facilities, from higher ed, as I've mentioned, through Northwestern and NOC, to career tech, private schools, public schools, all of the above. So we really have an opportunity for lifelong learning here in Enid. And I think a lot of times we don't get the message out enough about what the opportunity is. And so they'd like to focus some on that. Quality of life and tourism is another one of our areas of focus. One of the things they realized from very early on in this committee is that everything they want to do requires money. So one of the things that they are working towards is just a pure education on what types of funding sources might be available to support quality of life and tourism initiatives. We have heard from the Norman Forward Bond, Successful Bond Initiative. We have Oklahoma City Maps planned to meet with the committee. They're learning about grant programs, the opportunity to raise private funds to support projects. And so a lot of that is just looking for where the dollars might be to support some of their work. There's still a desire for some kind of water park, indoor and or outdoor in Enid, as well as discussions about the possibility of a natatorium. And so that's a big deal, a big elephant to try and take a bite of. And so they are circling around that and really bringing together resources at this time and subject matter experts who might have some information on how that could be accomplished. And then another area which is really great to see was they recognize that Enid has a lot of strong attractions already in Leonardo's Regional Heritage Center, obviously David Allen Ballpark, and many others. And they want to continue to make sure we promote what we already have and support maintenance of those existing venues ongoing. Inclusive prosperity. This is a committee that is focused on ensuring that economic development is felt across the community for all people in all areas. We have a strong group of people involved in this effort. And a lot of what we're doing here, or really all we're doing here at this time, is a lot of education and listening. We're trying to educate ourselves on what this looks like for Enid and what other communities might be doing in this arena. We've spoken with Tulsa, who has a small business council, and learned from them that really the starting point is usually in developing relationships and getting to know your small businesses and who might be interested in participating in these types of efforts to lift up small and minority-owned businesses. We also heard from the chair of the Oklahoma State Minority Business Council, which was established under Governor Stitt, and heard about some of the initiatives that they have put in place. And there's some great things happening at the state level that give us a little bit of a framework for some things that we could support here locally that would roll up to what the state is doing. And of course, downtown development. Downtown has taken on a focus of completing the wayfinding signage installation for the downtown district. They are also exploring the opportunities to implement some streetscapes along Randolph and Broadway, particularly with the road work that's planned for Randolph, that there might be an opportunity to also incorporate some streetscapes at the same time. And then they're looking at Maple and Grand as other areas of focus where they could do some future development and spruce up business and do some recruitment in those areas of downtown. Natalie Berlow, obviously at Main Street Enid, has really taken this committee under her wing and been a great assistance there. And that is that. And Elevate Enid, and any of you are welcome to attend. I understand you have quorum that you have to be aware of, but you are welcome to attend any of the meetings. We're happy to share the schedule of those with you. So.
Okay. Any questions? Okay. Thank you, Lisa.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Okay. It's about 1:15. There isn't anything else on the agenda here, so we will adjourn for now and reconvene at 6:30.